Hello, this is Olivia Wentz, and this is my data analysis for Module 8. I gave an ecosystems assessment, and here's my raw data. I have 61 total 5th grade students. Here are my student scores. The assessment is out of 15 points. I did not put it into percentages for this. I just kept it in their points. For Class 1, there are 20 students. For Class 2, there's 21 students. And for Class 3, there are 20 students. So my analysis for descriptive statistics, these are statistics that merely describe the group that they belong to. I have on this slide the averages or mean. The average score for 5th grade was a 9.85 out of 15, which was a 66%. This is a low score for our average, but I thought I would share anyway. This quiz did not go so well. The average mean score for Class 1 was a 67%, the average mean score for Class 2 was a 60%, and the average mean score for Class 3 was a 71%. As we look through this data, you can see that Class 3 did do a little bit better than the other classes, but not by a lot when compared with Class 1. The median for 5th grade was a 10 out of 15, which was a 67%. The median for Class 1 was a 10, 67%. Median for Class 2 was a 9, a 60%, and the median for Class 3 was a 10.5, a 70%. When we look at the modes for 5th grade, the most common was an 11 out of 15, and that was a 73%. Not too bad for being the most common score. However, the second most common score was a 7 out of 15, which is a 47%, which is not so good. Mode for Class 1 was at 40%, 87%, and 93%. Mode for Class 2, a 47%, a 73%, and the mode for Class 3 was at 100% and a 53%. In Class 3, we did have quite a few 15 out of 15s, which was great to see. For my analysis for inferential statistics, these are statistics that are used to draw conclusions about a larger group of people. A little bit about our grading system first, a little background about that. This year, as a school, we have made a movement away from points and grades. We collect mastery data points from student assignments and assessments in order to determine if students are beginning, developing, or proficient with the skill. We are developing proficiency scales so students and teachers have a clear idea of what level these students would land on. The report card is broken down into skills based on standards, and we no longer give grades for the class that the students are in. So students no longer receive a grade for math or a grade for reading or a grade for science or anything like that. They receive a beginning, developing, or proficient based on their specific skills that are broken down within those courses. Something that I noticed from this data, I noticed that many students are still developing their knowledge and skills relating to ecosystems. According to the data collected all unit, about 8 students are in the range of being proficient. This is 13% of the grade and has reached or is close to reaching proficiency. So as for action, I think that students will continue to utilize a program called IXL in order to strengthen their vocabulary and conceptual knowledge of ecosystems. This program will review things that they might have a need in. Students will also have a test correction form where they can go back and correct and explain their incorrect problems. This can reinforce anything that they did not understand before. Some strengths I've noticed is overall during this unit, students have shown vocabulary strengths and conceptual knowledge strengths within their ecosystem projects and simulations. I've done mostly just projects and simulations, not a lot of assessments. This assessment was not an overall representation of student mastery. However, I did use it for a mastery data point. I think that it was definitely showing lower skills than a lot of their other projects and simulations did. So my interpretation, what do these data say about student learning? This data shows that student learning needs to be measured in many different ways. It is important to use assessments along with other mastery data points. I utilize assessments, observations, projects, simulations, assignments, and classroom discussions to make these decisions where I think that students are. What do they say about your teaching? Students need to have more time to interact with their vocabulary within discussions and by studying their digital notebook slide notes in their Google Classroom. We do collect notes either in their binders for certain units and then sometimes on digital notebook slides. This time we did digital notebook slides, and I feel like I did not give students enough time to interact and review with those digital notes. What would you do differently to improve student performance? I would give students more practice involving the difficult concepts and vocabulary within the ecosystems unit. I would also give more class time for students to practice these vocabulary and concepts on their IXL program. I think that a lot of times it's just my early finishers that are using IXL. It's not the whole class. So I do need to make time for everyone to be able to experience using IXL and practice their concepts and vocabulary on IXL. Be sure to explain how your interpretation is connected directly to data. This interpretation is connected directly with my data. I saw that the class averages were very low for this assessment. This assessment was towards the end of the unit, so it would have been more positive if the performance was higher. However, I can look at all of the other projects and simulations and assignments and smaller assessments that students have taken throughout to figure out where they are so far in their mastery, but there's definitely a lot more practice that we need to do this year, so it did show me that. Thank you for joining me.